This was one of my favorite episodes that we've made here so far at Behind the Screams, and maybe one of my favorite conversations in recent history. I had such a blast talking with our special guest here today, Chad Green from the band Frozen Soul. This band is so sick. Their vibe is crazy. Their live shows are even crazier. They bring such an intense, really wild vibe to what they do within heavy music and metal music. And I got a chance to sit down with Chad at Milwaukee Metal Fest, which we were both playing, Chad with Frozen Soul and me with my band Renaissance. It's funny thinking about everything we talked about, how we really just dove right in and how we could have just gone like that for hours. You would never know that we met minutes before we started and pressed record. I don't want to hold you up any longer because I'm so excited about what we talked about here today, and I'm excited to finally share this with you all. Here is our episode today of Behind the Screams podcast featuring Chad from Frozen Soul. All right, and without further ado, I am sitting here today with Chad from Frozen Soul. How you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This is sick. And are you guys stoked to play today?
Very stoked.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Like right in the middle of the day, right where people have the most energy. Awesome.
Well, I hope. I'm a little nervous about it. We played like a smaller stage. It was awesome in 2023. So now we're playing a big one. And so I'm like, maybe they'll come and see us. We're playing the same time as Harm's Way. Oh, so, man, yeah. Well, like there's a moment where we're not, but really there's a lot of bands I want to see that we're like right there with. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's the toughest thing about Fest. Like different bands that you're stoked on or bands that you're just like super good friends with. There's so much overlap. It's a little tough sometimes. Yeah. But the big stages is something that you've been no stranger to this year with how much you guys have grown and how things have been moving coming off of this Kill Switch tour. How was that?
It was pretty insane, honestly. I mean, we played in front of a bunch of people who had no clue who we were. I mean, every night I'd be like, all right, who's seen us before? There'd be like 2 people raise their hands. And literally I'd be like, all right, now who got here early to see us for the first time? And I mean, it was, most shows were pretty decently packed, even in like the small hockey arenas and stuff. Like by the end of our set, it was full, but by the time I said that, just about everybody would be like, we got here early, raising their hands and yelling. So it was cool. We made a bunch of new fans and a bunch of the new friends in the bands. It was awesome, man. That
rules. And you were with our friends in Fit for a King too, which we were talking about earlier. That must have been a lot of fun.
Oh, it was great. We literally played Magic every day. Me and Matt would wake up, we would get off the bus, find Tuck immediately, go find a gym, work out, and then go to a card shop.
That sounds about right, because with all the touring that I did with Fit for a King, they got to me as well. I didn't have any of that before them, and they were just card shops every day, even sometimes on the same day as the show. Do you have a deck that you've been running a lot recently?
Well, I've been really into CEDH. So I've been like playing a more like competitive style of commander. Oh, and so I was playing a newer commander called Hashaton, which is like a zombie commander where it's like has a lot to do with discarding creatures, and then you pay an amount of mana and you bring a token copy out. So you just put all the nasty stuff. And then I've been running Sauron the Dark Lord, and then I have a Gishath Sun's Avatar deck. That's like my pet deck. But as of right now, the deck I've been working the hardest on is Timna Krom. It's a partner commander deck, and it's like very combo focused, draw 1 million cards, and then just win with Thassa's Oracle or Through the Breach. Or so. It's a very competitive deck, and that tour didn't help because Tuck is a CEDH player, and he's been on one of my favorite channels, one of my favorite Magic YouTube channels called Play to Win. And
I think we met them. Yeah,
we're going on it in June. That's it. So I'm like really stoked for that, and it didn't help. It didn't help my damn addiction. Okay, I literally spent so much money on that tour, and luckily by the end of the tour, me and Tuck were both like, no, stop. stop. You gotta stop. You gotta stop. You can't do this.
Oh, he was saying that's bad if he's saying it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, we both got some cards to unload after that tour, you know, because,
I remember being with them and just like the entire like shelves and cabinets that were all just full of bulk.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and nothing else. And I set like definitely like a limit on myself with that sort of thing. But like those guys are the ones that kind of got me into it in the first place. Awesome. So also a Commander person. So
what do you rock?
The one I run mostly is this complete deck. It's a Miram deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was going to have you kind of critique it a little bit.
I mean, I don't know if I'm that. I don't know if I'm the best.
And then because I get so many cards from friends, they'll just offload bulk on me. It's gotten to the point where there's just about enough in here that there's a Lathril deck that's been starting to get put together.
It's funny, when I met my girlfriend, we were at the time, like I was like, I played Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Same as Tuck. Like I've played Yu-Gi-Oh! My whole life, right? So my girlfriend is super open-minded when it comes to gaming, and she's played WoW and stuff like that. So, you know, she got interested in card games, and I asked her like what she wanted to play, and we started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! But then she started wanting to get into Magic, and that is the first deck that I got her. Was that? And she still has it. Now she's like playing CEDH and has like $4,000 of cards just in her trade binder. But
oh my God.
Dude, it's funny. That was one of the decks that like we bought, and I had never played Commander before. Oh, wow. I was playing like 60 card formats, like Modern and all that stuff.
So you weren't necessarily used to this yet. Right.
So that was where it started. I had like I can't remember what that it's an Izzet Commander. Okay. And it was like had something to do with drawing cards. It came out, I'm pretty sure, the same time this did. The deck is actually worth a bunch now, but I took it apart immediately. And then I started building a dinosaur deck. And then we went to MagicCon. And when we went to MagicCon, we went all in. Like, we went all in on Commander. I was like, I found it. This is my format. And we still play Pioneer, Modern, and all that stuff, and Standard, but really we found the love in Commander. So
that happened.
Cool seeing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a cool story. And I kind of fell in love with the Commander thing too, because it definitely kind of fits the way I think about things a little more than some of the other versions that are out there that I've dabbled with a little bit. My thing is trying to always make sure that I'm getting things out fast enough. And although I love everything I have here and what people like the guys in Fit for a King and Josh from We Came as Romans and Eric from I Prevail have helped with, I'm always trying to get a little faster. So I figured I'd have you look.
I'll tell you right now, like right off the bat, something I would do that I haven't seen yet in here is fetch lands. Do you have fetch lands in here?
I don't, no.
So fetch lands are going to make like your mana base a lot smoother.
Okay.
You're going to be able to like filter through the stuff that you don't need and always have the colors you need, and you'll also thin your deck out. Another thing is like I mean, depending on how much you want to spend on it. I mean, you get like mana rocks and stuff like that. Like you have Arcane Signet and Sol Ring, but like I don't think I've seen like a Fel War Stone.
No,
so that's a good.
I haven't gotten down that rabbit hole.
Especially because it's
a pretty color.
Almost everyone's going to be playing some kind of red in casual. You're going to usually have a blue player. In green is like the deck in casual. So I would say like having that card, you're always going to be able to tap for stuff. But then like really it just like depends. I mean, like more mana dorks, but you do have quite a bit in here. But really like you want some sort of fast mana. You want your land base to be as fast as possible. So upgrading, getting like an ancient tomb.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Like those are actually pretty inexpensive right now. You can get them for like $50, which is kind of crazy because they were like $100. I mean, there's crazier versions, but they keep reprinting it. So,
that's true. So it just brings the value down just a little bit.
Yeah, and you can get like, some other mana rocks and stuff, but really just speed is just in casual is just mana rocks. But then you can start doing stuff like, okay, get a Guy's Cradle, get like, Chrome Mox. That's a pretty cheap one too, like $70 I think for the cheapest one. Yeah. Actually, I think they're like $50 now, but it costs $0.
I like that you have that off the top of your head.
Trust me, like unfortunately before that Kill Switch tour, my girlfriend and I got a house. Unfortunately. Well, Here's why it's unfortunate, all right?
Okay.
Because I had to go through our Magic collection to make the less of our hit financially, and I priced out and scanned about 15,000 of our collection and went and sold it to a store. So I lost a bunch of money on it. I got about $8,000 for it, but I sold my big CEDH deck that I had no proxies in, and I kept like my mana rocks and my fetch lands and stuff like that. The stuff I'm telling you to like get, because that's the stuff you get and you never get rid of. You keep it forever and it just skyrockets in price, you know, because most of it is stuff that's going to be used in every deck, you know. So I don't know. I let go of a lot of stuff, and then I've slowly, like, once we recovered, you know, we've slowly been like buying that stuff back. Yeah. So I have my other CDH deck, my Tim Necrom deck is what I'm working on, and I'm slowly replacing all the freaking blue spells that I sold. Like, I really didn't want to, but you know, that's the best part about this hobby.
It goes in and out, and
it's got your back. You know, it really does. Like if you need it, you know, it's got your back. But yeah, I would do stuff like that, and then
I appreciate it.
I don't really know how that deck works. Really depends on how like competitive you want to get, but that's where I would start. You know, I'd start with putting a Fel War Stone in it, putting fetch lands, cleaning up the mana base, because the biggest thing about speed is like when you're bringing in like lands and they're coming in tapped. Like that's one turn you're not going to be able to do anything.
And that does happen to me quite a bit.
Yeah, you want to always be able to utilize your mana. So that's the number one step. Start there and then go use EDH top 16. Here's why I would get like, here's what I tell everybody, okay? Especially with Magic. It's very important to do this, you know? Get what they call the staples first. So fetch lands, shock lands, mana rocks like Mox Diamond, what used to be Mana Crypt, but it's banned now. I'd still get one just in case. Get a Jewel Lotus just in case, because it's probably going to come back, I'm thinking. Stuff like Mox Amber, Grim Monolith, you know, Chrome Mox, all of those free cast artifacts, and then things like Gaia's Cradle, City of Traders. Those things, when you get them, they're going to go up in price forever. You know, every deck is going to be able to use all the fetch lands. You know, you start there, and then you figure out what deck you really want to like beef up. Yes. Because you could spend a lot of money, and that's the trap of Magic, spending a whole lot of money beefing that deck up.
Cardboard gambling. Then
you're going to play a higher powered game, and you're going to be like, I got crushed, and I kind of want to win. And it's okay. It's okay to want to win, you know? Yeah. So I would start there, get that stuff first, and then, you know, figure out if you really want to upgrade that deck or not. Exactly, get the basics that could go in every one of your decks, you know, and start there. Also print proxies.
That too. Now, with that in mind, especially with the amount of like the well of information that you are with this, do you feel like your brain has equally as much heavy music things going on in here as Magic, or does Magic kind of almost take up 3/4?
I don't know. I think like I get like really obsessive. Okay. So like if I'm in a Magic zone, that's all I can think about. That's all I could do. And it's a flaw of mine too, because, and that's just why me and my girlfriend work so well together, because she understands, she understands my brain and how like obsessive I can get about things and how locked in, and I just can't break it, you know, no matter how hard I try. So if I'm in a Magic zone, that's all I care about right then and there, you know, and I try to work on that, but when I'm doing music stuff, that's all I can care about. Yep. You know, I'll just keep going, you know, and I'll keep having, okay, well, what about this? What about this? No, I don't know if that sounds good. I think, you know, and I'm constantly listening to music, but not so much listening to it anymore just to have fun and party. Most of the time I'm like listening to it for inspiration or like something to fire me up or to feel something.
Yeah, it's kind of work related a little bit now, especially when you're as busy as this.
Yeah. So really it's a kind of a both. It's both, you know, like I just get locked in, and whatever I'm locked in at the moment, boom. Like on last tour, it was hard to get locked into music. Yeah. Because, I mean, we were just playing Magic every day. I was like, where's the gym at? You know, where's the, you know, it's just like.
Oh, we have a set today?
Yeah. And then by the time it's time to go play and set up, and I'm like there were times on that tour, 5 minutes before we're supposed to literally start playing. I'm like, hurry up and finish your turn.
Like the Commander game can go forever.
Yeah.
It's pretty evenly matched.
And we were playing almost every day. And it wasn't just us. Like Kubla Khan's sound guy played.
Oh my God.
You know, like it was just nuts. Our merch guy played, and so the venues were selling merch for us a lot of days. So he was playing with us. It's like something like we'd have like two, almost 3 pods. You know, it'd be like we just could take over a local store. So really, you know, back to your point, you know, it's I just, you know, or your question, like I lock into whatever I'm doing, you know, but music's always a part of me, you know.
Of course.
I mostly, I'd say, like, you know, try and find a balance, you know.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to say, like, with touring full time and being in a band that's really on the rise, like you guys, and getting busier and busier, I feel like it's so important to have just something else to focus on that isn't just this all the time. Or like stuff with heavy music and stuff with this world can really wear you out if you're not careful. So I think it's great that you have something that you're really, really stoked about and really passionate about, and something where you can kind of find pockets of people like within different touring camps that are just equally as excited about it, and then you kind of have that immediate friendship there too, which is really neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah. And you guys, I've seen clips of people playing Magic in the pit for you. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know, it's with this. It's really, in the heart of it, it's all about having fun. I mean, it's all I've ever wanted to do, you know, and like being able to combine both worlds, you know. Sometimes, you know, I can get a little bit, I'd say, like, too focused on that kind of stuff. And so, like, you know, if I know people are stoked and people have mentioned to me that they want to do it, then I'll make it happen. But, you know, not all the rest of the band is always stoked on doing it.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm just the type of person where it's like, if one person says they wants to do it, boom, let's go. I'm down. I'll throw out packs and we can do it. We can make it happen. That's awesome. Yeah, in Buffalo, we did something with TCG Player.
Oh, wow.
They brought us like a box of Jumpstart packs, and we like threw it out and had a huge circle pit going. We might do it tonight.
We'll have to keep an eye out for that then. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's fun. You know, it's fun.
Exactly. And speaking of just like the fun of the live show too, and then like stuff with your music, I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like, is there kind of a like, from this love for things like this, is there kind of a fantasy element that kind of helps you to inspire, like, what the album artwork looks like, what elements of, like, the stage look like, where, like, different themes in the songs are coming from? Do you feel like that's kind of tied together a bit for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've always been, like a dreamer, you know? Like, because I grew up, like, really poor and not having much. I never had the latest game system, or, you know, I didn't have, like, I didn't get a DVD player when it first came out or anything, you know, like it was like, you know, my uncle had a computer, and, you know, when we were younger, we played EverQuest. And so, like, and we had, like, Super Nintendo and all that stuff, and we would play games. And, you know, I was a huge action figure kid, so I, like, had a lot of, like, mental investment. You know, I keep hitting this mic. Sorry. No, you're I had a lot of, like, mental investment in, like, in imagination put into, like, what I was doing, because I just didn't have anything else. So that just translates later in life, you know. Like, when I started doing bands and stuff, like, it was natural that all the games I played, all the things that I liked, was gonna just be a part of that. And it's no different for Frozen Soul, you know. Like, we all love games, and we all love that stuff. And, like, when I'm like thinking of things to write about and stuff, it all, you know, has to do with, like, mental health and my issues inside, and, you know, trying to figure out my way through life, you know. And I try to write our lyrics and stuff in, like, a very general sense, so people can make their own things, because that's how I kind of grew up, not having a CD, so I couldn't read lyrics. I just would hear stuff and make my own meaning up to it, you know. So that's how we do it in Frozen Soul. But everything has a base of, like, fantasy stuff, like Lord of the Rings and World of Warcraft and EverQuest and all the stuff I grew up playing, Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh. It's all a part of it. But we didn't get our name from the Frozen Soul Yu-Gi-Oh card. I actually didn't know that existed Okay, as bad as it is for me to admit that, I didn't know that card existed at all until somebody tagged us in something. But yeah, it all has something to do. And, and I love the whole medieval swords and fighting and magic and stuff like that in general. Like, not the card game, but literal magic. Like, I like the idea of all that stuff. So when I'm like building our props and stuff like that, I have that all in mind. And our new props that I built before the Kill Switch tour, it's like these frozen guys impaled on pikes.
Wow.
And
so that's you making
them?
them?
Yeah, I made all those.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I made them all. I got skeletons and I bent them with a heat gun and I like sealed them and painted them and add an icy effect and sealed it again and put all this stuff on it to make it look shiny and icy. Sawed the legs off, put like connectors to where they can disconnect, and I could put them all in crates to travel with them. Like, yeah, like I and the whole time I'm doing that, I'm like literally listening to soundtracks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm listening to country music and then I'm listening to soundtracks from Lord of the Rings and stuff while I'm doing that, So it's like, it's a huge part of us.
That's awesome. And it seems like there's just so much of every part of who you are in this band. And I think that's a huge part of what's really carrying you guys forward and making people kind of fall in love with it. Because I think it's easy to kind of view heavy music as being something, anybody can do that. Or like, like writing these kinds of songs or being in a band that can do this, like that's easy kind of thing. But having authenticity behind what you're doing, I do think matters so much. And you guys definitely have that behind what you're doing, especially knowing all of this now and how reflective of you it is. And with that being said, where does heavy music kind of coming into an intersection with mental health happen for you? Like, why this kind of music?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, like, my family, my grandfather had a rock club in like the 70s and 80s. And so music and more aggressive style music and just rock in general, dancey music like that, and party music, I guess you'd say, in a sense, has always kind of run in my family. So I just kind of, I don't really know how it happened. I mean, my mom introduced me to some stuff when I was like super young. And I remember when she gave me like Korn's Issues CD and Rob Zombie CD and stuff like that, and it was like so extreme to me and crazy, but like I don't know, I found bands like that and Slipknot when I was really young, and and that just kind of like, I don't know, it was different. I grew up in a really bad neighborhood, went to a really bad school, and got picked on a lot, and that was like, I don't know, it was aggressive, and like something with like the aggression that I felt,
I feel that,
in my everyday life, towards like, I had just not a good time as a kid with my uncle and stuff, and it affected me a lot. And so like I needed to like somehow like, I needed to like express myself. And that music I was hearing, I think like, and this is really honestly the first time I've ever thought of this. Wow. It's just making sense, as we're talking, but like, it's like, I think I just identified with like the anger, and it felt good to be able to like just have my CD player on and walk around outside, with my black clothes on and just be pissed off. And like, I felt like I could take the world on, and that just I just got more invested in it. And then I met friends once I got into like out of middle school and got into high school and started getting introduced into other stuff. And then one thing led to another and I was taken to a show, and I'll never forget it. I think the very first show I ever went to was 6 Feet Under, Misery Signals, and a band called Premonitions of War.
Oh my God.
And it was 30 people there. It was a festival in Arlington, Texas. And there was like 30 people there. And I'll never forget seeing Misery Signals, and I'll never forget seeing them. This had to have been like 2002 or 2003 or something. I'm talking very early. I mean, I feel like they were like a 2004 band, but I definitely remember this being like 2002 or 2003.
Okay.
It's all shady. It's all shady in my head, but I'll never forget seeing Kids Mosh. And it like, I was just like, what is this? And it wasn't like push moshing. It was like kids throwing their elbows back, and I was like, what is this? And I just like got in there.
That rules.
You know, after like being a kid and walking around being so mad and not having anyone in my neighborhood that listened to this kind of stuff or anything, you know, never hearing these bands, you know. And now a lot of my friends nowadays that I've known for over 20 years, you know, were there, you know, like Riley from Power Trip was there, you know, and there was an old band they all supported and stuff there that was my first introduction to like, you know, all the hardcore stuff before I knew what any of that was. So, you know, I think like all of that just kind of like resonated with me. And then as I'm like getting older and having to like face more of like life's bullshit, the stuff you can't escape and the stuff that you just like, you can't get away from, that just gets worse as you get older. Like the music just became like my identity, you know? So it's like without it, I don't feel like I am strong enough to deal with it, you know? So it's like something that's just turned into me being like a super not confident fat kid that's getting picked on, you know, to like, I don't give a shit. You know, because I have the world that I love and I have the people that I've met and the love that I felt. And it's all from this. And, you know, I'd say like anybody can probably feel that if they get into whatever subculture or whatever, you know, there's always a community there. And if you make friends, you know, it's cool, you know, but there's just something about heavy music in general. Doesn't matter if it's hardcore, metalcore, deathcore, fucking death metal or whatever. There's just a sense of like belonging, you know, and I found it and it just made everything better for me, you know, and it's just truly helped me. And it's gotten dark, you know, and there's been a lot of dark things to happen, but I honestly don't know if I'd still be here if it was not for being into like heavy and aggressive music. And I always say when I'm yelling my stupid stage banner on stage and talking like a dumbass, I always say stuff like positive aggression. You know, like that's what this is. It's aggression, but it's positive. You're not killing people. You're not hurting people. Well, some people get hurt in the pit, but you know, the whole thing is you're there and everyone's there for the same reason, to have fun, to get away from the bullshit and, you know, live. And it's 100% equally about having fun and protecting my mental health being in this bullshit, you know?
Yeah. And I feel that's so amazing to know that, and like so relatable in terms of just like different upbringings and like feeling that kind of disconnect from the people around you and just like even like society feeling like they're kind of leaving you behind kind of thing. And even for me too, like finding it was like the perfect outlet for having so much of that built up aggression in the most like perfectly constructive way that doesn't hurt anybody. Right. And I feel like that's one of the biggest, most important things about all of this. And not everybody knows that or talks about it that way. But even like when we're doing our thing, like it's a performance, we're all having fun. Like when we're making these insane sounds on stage, like you feel so good doing it. And then even everyone in the pit just like throwing each other around. Yeah. Someone goes down, you pick them back up. Yeah. Like that's the culture. That's what all of this is. And that's really cool that you feel it so like deeply internally. And then very similarly to me too, you've kind of using this to kind of weave together who you are. And I think that's really, it tells a lot within the songs that you're doing and the way you perform live, especially with this vocal style you've developed. That's, I would only describe, no pun intended, as chilling, which is really cool. And I can't wait.
Maybe a little pun intended.
A little bit. But I can't wait to see you bring all of this out and to kind of feel all of this stuff you're talking about when you guys play tonight. And thank you so much for sitting here with me today, man.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm stoked. I haven't got to do a podcast in a while. There's been so many where I'm just like, I get home and I'm like so drained. I'm like, or I'm like sick, you know, and I just haven't done one in a while. So I'm stoked to do this. You do an awesome channel and an awesome podcast, and it's really, really cool. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And there we go, dude.
Sweet. Hey, really appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Yeah. I can't stress enough, again, how much fun I had with this conversation with Chad Green from Frozen Soul. So glad we got to sit down like this and really talk and cover so much ground in so little time. We'll definitely have to have Chad back because I feel like we could have just gone and gone forever. But he did have to perform that day too, so I had to let him go at some point. And speaking of their set, we did get into a little bit of warm-up technique and some fun stuff vocally right before they went on here at Milwaukee Metal Fest, and they crushed it playing the main stage of that fest. So awesome getting to catch them this way. Chad sounded great, and I want to talk with you all here, speaking of those vocals, on how to really gain access to, for lack of a better word of saying this, a very bone-chilling kind of vocal delivery. That's something I really like about Chad's voice and other people that do things similarly, where it's not just that the screaming is happening, it's like it feels like it's really slicing through the body, really happening here. You feel it in your chest. And there's something really powerful about that kind of delivery and that way of adding that kind of breath to what you do. Many people will have a slightly airier scream or a slightly breathier scream, and depending on how breathy it is, it can sound really cool, but when you take that too far, it can complicate things and get in your way of what you actually want. The way I like to talk about this with people that will do styles like this and similar is thinking of it almost like the way we speak. I like to talk about this also in kind of a pop music kind of way, which you wouldn't think there would be such a pipeline between pop music singing and absolutely soul-crushing death metal like this. But I'm here to create that link for you here today. When in pop music you're singing like this, is very similar in that you want there to be that kind of kind of softer, almost sultry vibe to it. But you don't want to do that overboard. You don't want that to be too breathy, because that is what can cause a lot of irritation, a lot of swelling, and down the line can cause a lot of different things in terms of vocal damage if left unchecked. That can make things not feel so great here, and there's a whole host of reasons why. So rather than letting it be overly whispery, you want to try to find that sweet spot, even just within your speaking voice. If you can choose to speak very clearly or speak in kind of a breathy way, not like where there's a ton of air coming out on every consonant and every vowel, but you can hear enough of that air that it sounds, and I'll even get a little closer to the mic here, it sounds very intense in terms of feeling that airiness, tickle the eardrum a little bit. That higher end intensity that has is what we're after. If you can choose to go between that kind of breathy voice and then clearing it up again, and add that in with things, say, like a false chord scream, yeah, and gain access to that, on top of having that different, more grand kind of pronunciation and delivery to it, you can take the false chord scream, and rather than having it be yeah, oh yeah, very focused right down the middle, more neutral this way, you can shape it in such a way where it sounds a lot more whoa, grand and intense from the delivery and the way you're pronouncing your words, and then just adding that slight amount of air, almost like you're putting the letter H between different words that you're saying to kind of achieve that effect. You start to get a little more of this kind of effect, where you can hear that tiny extra bit of air creeping through and going directly to your eardrums, right inside your body, and having that feel very intense and very, once again, bone-chilling, which can be wild if used effectively. Now, be careful with this. Again, it's very easy to take that overboard, let it get kind of overly breathy and whispery, and feel different words just dump out all at once. Be mindful of that. Be in charge of your air support here. We have videos here on how to work on that kind of breathing and air support for your vocals, whether that be screaming or singing. So keep that stuff in mind, and this should treat you very, very well. Thank you all for checking out this really fun and awesome episode of the Behind the Screams podcast with me and Chad Green from Frozen Soul. definitely check out their record that they have out right now called Glacial Domination, out on Century Media Records. And I know they have lots of cool stuff coming down the pipeline as well with what they're cooking up. If you have any other questions for Frozen Soul, because I know I'm going to have Chad back at some point, definitely comment them below. I'm going to keep everything y'all are saying in mind. And if there are any other bands, other artists, and other people within the music industry that you want to see here on the Behind the Screams podcast, let us know. Let me know here in a comment. We're always watching, we're always listening, and I always get so many really cool and great ideas from all of you here, our viewers, who make this whole thing possible. Whether you're watching or just listening, make sure you are following us here at Behind the Screams or on YouTube at Extreme Vocal Institute. Thank you all so much for your support in making all of this possible. I love being able to bring you the inside scoop and lots of really interesting details here on what it truly means to be a vocalist and be someone working within all of this music that we know and love. I'm your host, David. Thanks so much for hanging out here with me on Behind the Screams, and I'll see you next time.